I now call the March 7th, 2023 committee hearing to get to order at 6:45. Finance Committee. Consideration of claims. Chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the claims.
I make a motion for the consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $186,848.08. Payroll and liabilities for February 24th, 23 in the amount of $459,464.77 for a total of $646,312.85.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any amendments or discussion to the claims? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Is there anything additional that the committee needs to review or to discuss?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. In that case, we will adjourn.
2023 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Bailey lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Councilmember Larson lead us in the invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our eternal Heavenly Father, we are thankful for the opportunity to be here on council meeting. We ask, Father, that Thou might bless us, watch over us, take care of us, especially blessing the first responders, our police department, our fire department, that they might be watched over and blessed as they serve us. Father, we ask that Thou might bless us with insight and understanding, that we might serve appropriately and properly for our citizens, that we might help and make life better. Father, we're thankful for all our blessings, thankful for the abundance of snow, and we say this name of Thy Son, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
You and my husband are the only ones that like it.
Maybe.
Would the city clerk please conduct the roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox. Here. Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Here.
Mayor Tim Hancock.
I am here. I declare we have a quorum present. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Councilmember Peranto has the motion. Councilwoman Salisbury has the second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is scheduled for a public hearing will be given an opportunity to speak during that public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the council on a separate item may speak now. I ask you just to come up to the podium, identify yourself, please, by name. And if you're a part of a group, I'd ask you to keep your comments to 10 minutes for the group. And if you're just an individual, if you could keep it to 5 minutes, we'd appreciate it. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, please come on up to the podium. We'd like to hear from you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Herb Wilcox. I'm the director for Wyoming Senior Citizens Incorporated. Is now the good time?
This is a great time.
Okay, all right,
This is your time.
okay, all right. So I'm here on behalf of AmeriCorps seniors, and I believe we have a proclamation that we have presented, and we're just grateful if we could review that and sign it this evening.
Yes.
This proclamation is for the National Day of Service, which for us, it'll be the 14th of March. And tonight we have with us some of our foster grandparents and our program manager. I'd like to introduce them and let them tell you a little bit about what they do and just in response to that National Day of Service.
Thank you. Go ahead, Herb.
Thank you. So, Lori Schugman is our program manager for the foster grandparent program. She has 6 counties that she manages, and one of those is Fremont County. We have a number of foster grandparents in Fremont County. We have Jeannie Portlock. We have Marlene Brower, Kathy Vaughn and Vern Willow with us today. And I believe all of you are over at Aspen School, is that correct? Nope. Where are they at?
So Jeannie, Marlene, are at Aspen. Grandma Kathy is at St. Margaret's, and Grandpa Vern is at Jackson Elementary.
Oh, Jackson, okay, all right. So, Jeannie, would you like to just tell everyone a little bit about why you do what you do? What makes it great?
If you could come up to the mic.
Well, I've been at Aspen School, this is my 9th year, and I just love it. It keeps me going. I got real sick a year ago about, and the thing that kept me going and got me on my feet, and that was going back to work with those kids. Yeah, I just love them. They are something else. Something I just started, and I hadn't done this before, but we teach our kids how to write their names, and so the kids hadn't been wanting to do it. They got tired of doing it. So one day I took a bag of candy, and they saw it, and so I said, well, you have to come write your name or you don't get a piece of candy. Boy, everybody from then on, every time they come in, can we write our name? Can we write our name? Finally, I got rid of all the candy, and I said, okay, now that's the end of the candy. You have to write your name without having a piece of candy. But they are just so fun. They're just, there's never a dull moment. We have some that are, have a little bit of problem, and they'll scream or something, but it doesn't last long. They're just wonderful kids. The teachers work with us so well, and I enjoy it.
Jeannie, I understand you're related to somebody else that's here with us today.
Carla.
Oh, yeah. So if I asked her if she was as nice to the kids at Aspen when she was a girl,
I'd have to say I take the
plead the fifth.
yeah.
I've heard that before. Thank you, Jeannie.
Anyway, well, thank you, Mayor, and everyone else for your time this evening. This is just one of the programs. We have the Senior Companion Program as well. It's seniors serving homebound seniors. And then with AmeriCorps, they have AmeriCorps Vista, and I'm not quite as versed in it, but I know it's young people serving and doing things for the community and volunteering their time as well, and I think it's a one-year contract for them. But, and they earn some money to go to college and things like that. So it's great things happening in our community, and this is just one of them, and we're so grateful to be here this evening. And if you have any more questions, or if we'd like to go through the proclamation.
Well, let's do the proclamation then, if this is a good time. I'll just read it here, and then I'll come down there and sign it, and we can get a picture with everybody. Does that sound good?
Sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So this is the National Service Recognition Day proclamation. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges. And whereas the nation's elected leaders are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet their needs. And whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior participants address the most pressing challenges facing our communities, from educating students for the jobs of the 21st century to fighting the opioid epidemic, to responding to natural disasters, to supporting veterans and military families. And whereas national service exceeds economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve. And whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior participants serve in more than 50,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being. And whereas national service participants increase the impact of the organizations they serve, both through their direct service and by managing millions of additional volunteers. And whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas national service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. And whereas the AmeriCorps shares a priority with local leaders nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with the National League of Cities, the National Association of Counties, Cities of Service, and local leaders across the country for National Service Recognition Day on March 17th, 2023. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Tim Hancock, Mayor of Riverton, do hereby proclaim March 17th, 2023 as National Service Recognition Day and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our community and to thank those who serve and to find ways to give back to their communities. Dated the 7th day of March, 2023. And I was going to sign it down there, but I have two of them. Yeah, well, so they gave me two, so I can sign this one here. And then I will give you a copy you can keep, and we'll keep this one. How's that sound? Over here?
Should we stand up or?
I'll stand in the back.
Do you want to?
Yeah, get everybody crowded.
Oh, whoops.
Bar fight.
Say service.
Service.
Day of service.
Thank
Okay, got everyone laughing.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. City council members, thank you for giving us a moment to take a little bit of your time. We are here as a voice for people who don't have a voice, young and old, and future generations that are not here, that can't talk, or maybe they're here, but they're coming too. So anyway, we're here with the Riverton Peace Mission, and some of our family relatives are here. And we want to work on doing a better service for our people that we see walking up and down the streets. And we want to do well for them. We want to decriminalize alcoholism and help it so we can get them treatment, get them help, get them cared for. Our number one objective is keeping people alive, preserving life. And we don't want anyone to die from freezing, from getting shot. We don't want any of that. We want to work on policies to undo those kind of measures. But we got a few things we wanted. I don't know if you guys been reading the news or anything. There's data that we've recorded. Data USA 2016 to 2020. Fremont County, American Indian Alaskan Natives population is 20.93%. Arrests are 43.36%. Lander, American Indian Alaskan Native population, 6.96%. Arrests, 44.8%. Riverton, American Indian Alaskan Native population, 10.6%. Arrests, 77.44%. So it's really not working. And so we're working with the Wind River Healthcare, Rick Brannon. And right now they have a shelter south of town here at the 789 truck stop. They have a trailer, modular trailer, where people can go and warm up and get food and clean up. And so that's what he's got going now, and they're going to do better. They have a side for male and female, so that's working. But the issue we have, that's not in town. We want to work for something in town. And we gave a petition around, and we have over close to 500 signatures on it. And my partner, Taylor, is going to read. We're requesting the four action items from the City of Council, the City of Riverton Council. Oh, Nicole? Okay, so Nicole's gonna read the four.
Sounds good.
We don't have the proclamation for you to sign yet, but
Could you tell me your name, just so people who are watching know who you are?
my name is Allison Sage from the Riverton Peace Mission.
Thank you, Mr. Sage.
Northern
could-
Arapaho, and then
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Nicole Wagon. And I'll go ahead and read. I am on the board of the Riverton Peace Missions. The petition to Riverton City Council call for action to address racism. We, the undersigned, deeply regret that the Riverton City Council chose to hire a new city administrator without Native American inclusion in the hiring process, as was respectfully requested, thereby ignoring the concerns and perspectives of the Native Americans who live, work, shop, or recreate in Riverton, Wyoming. We request that the City Council direct the newly hired city administrator to do the following. 1, establish a working solutions committee with the goal to analyze and to eliminate institutional racism in policing and other policies that disparately and negatively impact Native Americans. 2, collect and report baseline and ongoing data to monitor whether the goal is being met. 3, providing training for the city employees and officials to increase awareness of racism and harms caused not only for Indigenous people, but also to the community as a whole. 4, obtain and develop the resources, systems, and/or structures needed equitably address conflicts without racial bias. So that was our petition with over 500 signatures that people signed. And I just want to state that, we're just asking for a solutions committee or whatever title fits the need of the people in the city of Riverton, whatever that title may be. We have many incidences that have taken place in the city of Riverton. At the top of my head, we'll talk about the Antelope family. I'll also talk about and mention my nephew. He was beaten by bats in the city of Riverton at the park. Former Mayor Gard stated to me, Nicole, we're not going to ban bats. That's silly, which is true. But we have to come to a meeting of the minds because the issue is not going away. Where do we send these people? And the Riverton Ranger reported a young lady that was placed under tires burning. I'm not even going to go into the details of that. That just saddens my heart. 4th, you guys all know me. My name's Nicole Wagon. My daughter was murdered. I repeat that, murdered in the city of Riverton. That's not normal. That's not an everyday thing. So that rang out the ripple effect to all the surrounding states. And that hurts my heart. How are we going to be pro? How are we going to be preventative? Where do we send these people? They can come to the committee. The committee can direct them, whatever the incident may be. Help them. They got nowhere to go. So that's my statement, and the fact of the matter is, alcohol is sold in the city of Riverton. It is not sold on the reservation. Those are the facts. So we come to you in a good way and hoping that we have a meeting of the minds and a solution of never again in Riverton. That's my motto. That's the vigil that we had here in front of the city of Riverton. Again, I repeat it because we cannot predict the future. Never again in Riverton. You guys are public officials. You guys sit in those seats. We need your help to come together and have a meeting of the minds with a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the Peace Mission who was wanting to speak, or? I think, Ms. Lee, you were saying there were two. I think these were your two. Okay, here we go. Go ahead, please, if you could tell us your name.
I'm Holly Butler. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and esteemed members of council. My president couldn't be here. I'm representing the Civil Rights for Wind River organization. I'm their secretary, so I'm going to be her voice for this evening. She's unfortunately sick. So we just want to echo that we fully support the Riverton Peace Mission statement here this evening. And in addition to that, I know that we had talked about possibly a liaison position within the state of Riverton. Somebody who could possibly, it could be a paid position with a native face that you guys could bring on board, and they would be like a liaison between yourselves and the tribes. But I thank you for this time and have a great evening.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. All right. Was there anyone else in the audience who wanted to speak? Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, hi. I'm Chuck Rogers. I do realize how much time and effort all of you, put in to make our community, to serve our community. So thank you, and I'll keep this really short. I want to bring to your attention again the, I don't want you to forget about the intersection of West Main and Hill Street. I've presented, here before and to the Forest Committee, and I know you've taken it seriously. I appreciate the fact that, Mr. Butterfield had engineers look into, my idea was maybe save money and repaint things. That didn't fly. But besides that, you wouldn't be able to see the paint now anyway, in the winter. But anyway, thank you for taking that seriously. I know you've got your plates full right now, but when you can, please focus on that intersection. So, and if anybody wants information or something, call me, Chuck Rogers, 851-6369, and I'll be glad to share anything I've got or to meet with you or whatever. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Liz Salloway. I used to be employed with the Wind River Cares, and I was one of the community specialists, and my duties was to work with the homeless within the city of Riverton. I no longer am employed there due to my disability, but I do spend a lot of time still on the streets of Riverton taking care of the homeless and making sure that not just giving them basic first aid and giving them a meal, making sure that they know that they're okay. And 90% of them do have behavioral health issues. So we would have one of the clinic staff, the mental health clinic staff there on Tuesday mornings to speak with them, and we would take them over there. But beside the point, we also worked with the liaison at that time, 2019, that was within the RPD. It was a police officer, and we got to a point where we were understanding each other, and he was helping me find the persons that I was looking for within the city of Riverton. But as quick as that position came about, that position left. And he's now with somebody else. So the liaison position that she was speaking about, I feel like really needs to happen, because there's a lot of things that people see a person in the park and automatically they feel like they're a homeless person, they're not worth nothing, they don't want them in that area. I have sat with them, and I have been chased off from the parks myself. And I don't understand that, because it's a public area, and nobody should be chased off just because they're not, you know, dressed the right way or look the right way. And alcohol is an issue, but I just feel like something needs to be brought to help them, because they're not getting the first aid they need. They're not getting the attention that they need, sending them, you know, like if they do need a place to stay at night. And I'm sorry, I'm really emotional about this. But so I just recently signed on to, you know, attend a thing with the Riverton Peace Mission up at the casino in the next few days. So I feel this is a good effort. But I think the city council needs to also, you know, look at our needs and the needs of the people that do not have the housing, do not have the attention that they need. Thank you.
Ms. Salloway, just for the benefit of everybody that's here, could you tell us when the unhoused summit is and where and how to sign up? Do you mind telling us, Mr. Sage? Maybe that'd be better. Go ahead.
Okay, just closing statements, but we invite you to our Unhoused Summit, March 16th and 17th. Starts at 8 o'clock each morning. It's a full day from 8 to 4 on the first day, and the second day is just till 8 to noon. But it's going to be at the Wind River Casino, and we'd like a representative from your office come. We're going to invite the healthcare, the police department, Wind River, Riverton, Lander, and the hospitals to come and try to formulate a plan so we can do better for our people.
And this is,
At the Wind River Casino?
yes, and then no charge, right?
No
This
charge,
is-
yeah.
This is being actually something that is provided by a different group.
The
Which
Riverton
group?
Peace Mission? Yep.
So,
You don't
no
have to-
charge for it?
Or lunch.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Sage. I
Go
appreciate it.
play if you want to. Because we want you. Anyway, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I mean, we laid a lot on you, and this problem hasn't occurred overnight, and then we ain't going to solve it overnight. So we're really willing to work with all of you and whoever you designate to help us.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
You can sign up online on
Yep.
the Riverton Peace Mission website.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, was there anybody else who wanted to speak? Yes, go ahead. You're not performing tonight.
I know. My name's Matt Hartman. I grew up here. My dad grew up here. I just wanted to add to what I heard, and there's an effect of seeing people who are in a really bad way, and it tears you down. Everybody. It hurts everyone, which you mentioned. And that's the part that, I mean, it's not, obviously it's the people who are in distress, right? They're in emotional distress. I know that, you know, part of the reason why we have echelons of government is that each community's pockets aren't quite as deep as other communities' pockets. Therefore, resource sharing is sometimes useful, you know, like the interstate, for example. But I do think that community-based solutions, which is kind of what the first award was all about, you know, just how can we come together as a community? And I in my head, I hear mental health, because you got one of the highest or the highest suicide rate in the country. Why is that? You know, I mean, part of it is people, we need connection, you know, and that's something that happened during the pandemic. It was hard to be away from everybody, not to see people. So how do we build those connections? How do we address mental health issues? Is it a community's? Is it our responsibility, our community members? Is it our responsibility to look after one another, to be our brother's keeper? Or is it the state? Or is it the federal government? Whose job is it? You know? I mean, I think we all have something to do. I think I have something to contribute. I don't know what that is. But I do think that, you know, we have substance abuse issues, but I think the mold of government to come is from the bottom up. How do we lead? How do you lead? You know, what are your ideas? And if we can put a committee together to bring people together to come up with solutions that are going to work for all of us, and I just think that's the way to go. And thank you, everyone here for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Should have clapped the first time. I wasn't trying to not follow suit there. Well, I really appreciate everybody speaking. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak? Sure.
Again, my name's Nicole Wagon for the record. You guys all know me, and I applaud your efforts because I consider you guys friends as well. When listening to the gentleman, I thank him, because it is hard. It's hard every day. I miss my kids every day. As a mother, to give life. And I ask myself, why? I ask the Creator, I'm in this position, why? I'd rather have my child back, Jocelyn and Jade. But some way, I'm in it. And I gotta not stop, keep moving forward, making a difference for others. I'll give an example of task force. I am on the MMIP task force. We did come together, working together since January 22. I just cried the day it passed. That's called making a difference. Not just for Natives. It's for all. Humanity. So I ask again for you guys to come together. Consider it. And as a mom, I worry about my other children, their well-being, not to fall into depression, that they count and matter, how people look at them, how people talk. It's really hard for them. They tell me every day. But if I can do it, and I raise strong daughters, they can do it as well. I'm responsible for that generation. I have to speak up for my grandchildren. That's the next. And they even call Mr. Bailey Grandpa. They just love him up every time they see him. That brings me joy. Because as Native people, we can adopt others. And to extend that olive branch. And to be considerate. And to be respectful. So I just want to share that. It does make a difference. Oh.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll get on. Yes. So just so people are aware, generally speaking, when we have the public commentary, I try not to interrupt too much because that's really your time to speak. So what you're saying doesn't fall on deaf ears. We have a lot of different things, and we're going to be talking about them, for example, in our city council goals tonight that we're going to be adopting. So we are trying to do everything we can to improve Riverton and try to make life better here for everybody. And so don't think that what you're saying falls on deaf ears, but for the most part, we try to give that time to you, okay? So thank you for chiming in. All right, would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, February 21st, 2023, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, February 21st, 2023, executive session. Approval of the minutes, February 28, 2023, council work session. Approval of the minutes, March 7th, 2023, finance committee meeting. Approval of the finance committee recommendations for March 7th, 2023. And approval of the municipal court report for the month of February 2023.
Are there any other items that require further discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
the Finance Committee met earlier before this meeting and approved consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $186,848.08. Payroll and liabilities for 2/24/23 in the amount of $459,464.77, for a total of $646,312.85.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Councilwoman Cox has the motion. Councilman Pronto has the second. Any discussion or amendments?
Your Honor, I will abstain from any warrants paid to WYOMING.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Citizen Board appointment, Fix Our Road Citizens Committee. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Fix Our Road Citizen Committee serves as an advisory committee to you as a city council, and its purpose is to provide you recommendations on capital improvement projects, specifically to evaluate the conditions in Riverton and to represent the citizens of Riverton. As we all know, the 1% general use tax was passed by the voters and has been reapproved on 2 different occasions, and its purpose is for infrastructure projects related to streets, roads, bridges, water and sewer utilities. The membership of the committee is 9 members appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of the council, and the members serve for a 4-year term, which coincides with the election periods for that specific general purpose tax. There is a vacancy on the board currently, and it was advertised to the community for interested parties to submit letters of interest. 3 were received, and the mayor has reviewed them. Those letters are in your packet as well, and he would like to appoint James Corrales as a member of the Fix Our Road Citizen Committee. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the appointment of James Corrales to the Fix Our Road Citizen Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Borders with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. And just so everybody knows, Jim is here. He's sitting back. Wave your hand so people, or if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Too late.
Thank you. Appreciate you being willing to serve and look forward to your help. All right. The next item in the agenda is to untable for consideration ordinance 23001, third and final reading, rezone of the Woodridge Estates. At our last meeting, Councilmember Cox moved, seconded by Councilmember Borders, to adopt ordinance number 23001 on third and final reading. After some discussion, Councilman Pronto moved, seconded by Councilmember Borders, to table the consideration until the next regular council meeting. So if we wanted to take it off the table, we'd have to have a motion and a second to have the ordinance taken off the table for further discussion. So I would entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilmember Cox with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes. So we're back at third reading. If we could have the city clerk, I guess we've already read ordinance number 23001 last time by title only, but I think it would make sense to do it again. So if the city clerk could do that.
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 23-001 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending the zoning district map of the city of Riverton, Wyoming, designating the rezone of Woodridge Estates, Block 1, Tract 1, final plat, replat of lots 3 and 4, and the vacation of platted easements with lots 10 through 15, Block 16, and all of Block 17, City of Riverton, Fremont County, Wyoming, from Planned Neighborhood Shopping District CP to Commercial District C1.
Thank you. And so we're back at the motion having already been made. So this was to adopt the ordinance on third and final reading. Is there any other discussion before the vote? Councilman Bailey?
Your Honor, and I apologize, I was absent for the last regular council meeting, could we have the public, or community development director explain to us the differences between CP and C1?
We could probably do that.
Everybody's familiar again.
Yeah, we could do that again. Mr. Miller?
Absolutely, Your Honor, Counsel. Thank you, Mr. Bailey, for putting me on the spot. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
No problem.
He got a haircut for this.
Basically, between, when we look at C1 and CP, to begin talking about CP, CP is a planned neighborhood shopping district, and the intent and purpose of that district is to permit retailing of neighborhood convenience commodities and personal services which are needed for day-to-day living. Density and intensity of use may be considered low to moderate. Uses in this district are intended to be compatible with adjoining residential districts. As we go down CP regulation, my tablet here. The use regulations under CP, retail sales conducted within a permanent building, personal services conducted from within a permanent building, bank, saving and lending institution and professional human health care facilities, public parking lots and stations for passenger cars or taxi cabs. And so under 040, category F and G are compliant in all commercial statuses. And then the area occupied by buildings in this district will be restricted to 40% of the total area to provide for the protection of surrounding areas. And another separate restriction for CP compared to C1 is that a building situated on a lot must have a front yard of at least 20 feet in depth and side yard, street side of 20 feet, and non-street side and rear yard of 3 feet in width. And no building or structure may be located on a easement or right-of-way, and that's common throughout all building and zoning practices. When we go to C1 and look at similar uses, the use regulations under C1 opens up a lot of different categories. Motorized vehicle sales and services, mobile home, manufactured home and travel trailer sales and services, facility repairs of items for subsection A and B, parking lots, parking garages, bank savings and lending institution, builder supplies, related trade shops, motels and hotels, memberships, clubs and lodges, and the list kind of goes down. The long and short on the C1 side, restricted use. The only thing that we can't do is anything above light manufacturing for retail, and any industrial status of what we can do there. And that's kind of the separation between CP and C1 is that those use restrictions.
I think we had discussed last meeting also, it was time as well, correct, in terms?
Yeah, there is a time constraint on there, and I'll kind of say openly, I've had quite a few conversations with Andrew, as a few of them even today, and Andrew, the developer with Honda, or representative for Honda Development, is on the phone. And one thing that we've talked about is what some of those concessions are and what the differences would be one way or the other, depending on however council so chooses to vote, which it is council's absolute right to vote on land use in the city of Riverton. Is absolutely the right of council. So in some conversation with Andrew today, I believe Han has a development plan to develop the property under either contingency. So if council so chooses to approve the C1 change, then they're going to move forward with their current plan. Under CP, there would be some concessions or modifications that they would need to make to their idea, but I believe that they do have the ability to develop that lot in the same direction that they're going under either zoning restriction, one just being slightly easier and less, slightly easier and no need to manage tenants or anything in that manner.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any other discussion? And
Can I ask a question?
yes, and I would note, Mr. Shorfar, is that correct? Did I say that right, Andy?
Yes, score far. Close.
That's close. I got it last time.
You did.
From Han Development is on the line too, so if there were a question for him, it could be, we could have him answer. Go ahead, Councilman Cron.
Questions for Mr. Miller. You mentioned that CP is compatible with joining a residential neighborhood. Is C1 compatible for adjoining residential neighborhood?
C1 is absolutely compatible with adjoining residential neighborhood. Most of our commercial districts in C1 and CH. CH is just a modification of C1 on a highway property, is directly adjoining to residential property. One thing that CP does when it joins to residential property that's slightly different than C1 is CP does put offset and setback restrictions in CP code for buildings from edge of road and from edge of property line, and in C1, you have the ability to build up to the property line. When we're looking at mingling C1 and residential one, we do need to create some sort of barrier between those two, either sound or fire barrier that we do require in the building practices when the building's put up to the border. But there's some small items that are slightly different in there, but they both do work directly next to residential property on either side.
Okay. And of course, there's a time distinction between 24 hours, pretty much anything, in terms of manufacturing versus a time-limited, kind of quiet hours after a certain time.
Correct. CP is the only zone in the city of, the only zoning restriction in the city of Riverton that has time restrictions to work. And in talking with the developer, the time restriction isn't something that they're concerned with. They absolutely don't have an issue with the time restriction on either side. That's not something that's problematic for them.
Yes, another question, Rob?
Yes, go ahead.
What is the potential builder's desire for C1 versus CP? What's the hindrance there for them?
The difference is just in the ease in which they perform business, I suppose. There's limits. The CP has limitations, and so it just changes their model slightly. But like I said, when talking today, the developer feels that they can build the same structure on that lot, and the management restrictions would be they would need to monitor and manage their tenants to make sure that they're coinciding with the zoning restrictions in which they have. If it were to be CP rather than C1, there's no intention of changing that building, the building design or motto as to what they're doing there. They're not looking to do anything different with it than just that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? We could do this traditionally and ask any other discussion 3 times. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All right. Will the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilwoman Carla Borders.
Nay.
Councilwoman Lindsay Cox.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Nay.
Councilman Dean Peranto.
Nay.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Nay.
Councilwoman Christy Salisbury.
Nay.
Mayor Tim Hancock.
I'll vote nay. Motion fails. Thank you for being here, Mr. Scorfar. Did I get it right that time?
Yes, thank you very much.
I hoped I would. All right. Moving on, consideration of ordinance 23002, second reading, plat and annexation, Jack Edition. Community Development Director's report again. I didn't have to say again. I just wanted to note we've already heard from you.
just scrolling through all my pages here. Yes, so for second reading, the petitioner, Jack Miller, is requesting the plat and annexation of the Jack Edition. The proposed parcels are already adjacent to current city limits. It is located on the corner of South Railroad Avenue and West Monroe Avenue. It is proposed to annex into the city with 2 lots, both zoned light industrial. Utility reviews were sent to all utilities with no exceptions noted. City Planning Commission recommended approval on February 9th, 2023 with unanimous decision. And City Council approved ordinance 2023-002 on first reading at the February 21st, 2023 regular council meeting. There's no budget impact at this time, and the recommendation is that City Council adopt the second reading of ordinance 23-002, annexation and replat of the Jack subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The chair would entertain a motion. I'm sorry, we're moving too fast. I try to get this meeting efficient, Kristen. Would the city clerk please read ordinance 23002 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 23-002 on second reading, an ordinance annexing the Jack Addition, Fremont County, Wyoming, not previously annexed to the city of Riverton, designating the zoning classification of the parcel and amending zoning map to reflect the same, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 23002 on second reading.
So moved. Second.
Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. Any discussion or amendments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Public hearing and consideration of resolution numbers 1468, 1469, and 1470, utility rate increases. Finance Director's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few years ago, the city hired an experienced utility consulting firm to analyze the city's current rate structure and associated costs. The analysis determined what rates the city needs to charge to complete needed system development, refurbishment, repair, maintenance, operations, and ongoing sustainability. The professional recommendation of the consultant was to change the rate structure and bring pricing up to a level sufficient to support current expenses associated with the utility infrastructure. The report recommended annual rate increases to support ongoing and future costs. It should be noted that the funds operate independently of the city's general fund and independent of each other. So unlike a typical business, the funds are not structured to generate a profit, rather but to provide essential services to the citizenry while also allowing for future upkeep of repairs and replacements. I'm going to throw a few numbers at you and just know that they are rounded figures, just so you can kind of follow along with me. When planning the fiscal 2023 budget, the water fund operational revenue projections only exceeded our expenditures by slightly over $25,000. As a reminder, the City Council approved transfers of $319,000 from reserves to offset capital expenses associated with the water fund. The staff cut $2.2 million in capital projects in our water fund last year. And the current 5-year capital plan includes $7.8 million in infrastructure, repairs, replacement, and equipment purchases. While the staff has sought and secured grant funding to help offset some of these costs, a rate increase is necessary to maintain our infrastructure. The wastewater fund operational revenue projections exceeded expenditures by $271,000. However, due to postponed capital needs, the budget was approved with a transfer of $694,000 to complete much-needed improvements, mainly at the wastewater treatment plant. The staff cut nearly $1.8 million from last year's preliminary capital plan, and the current 5-year capital plan includes $7.8 million in funding needs. The sanitation fund budget projections show a difference of negative $15,840 in expenditures over revenues. Approved transfers from cash for this fund for this fiscal year is $675,000 to cover operational and capital needs. While it didn't require capital cuts this year, the fund has a projected $1.3 million in capital needs over the next few years. We've recommended a 3% increase to the water and wastewater fund and a 2% increase to the sanitation fund based on the analyst's recommendation. We have 4,312 water meters located within our system, and 90% of those are 3/4-inch meters. There's also another 5% that are 1-inch meters. I provided each of you with a sample in your packet about how these recommended rate increases would affect our customers' water bills. If a person were to use zero water and just had a regular 3/4-inch meter with a regular 90-gallon sanitation container, This would result in an increase of $1.88 per month to their bills. The average family uses about 3,000 gallons per person per household. If we're looking at a 12,000 gallon usage, which would be essentially a family of 4, the increase in the bill would be $4.30. It's slightly $1.08 per person in the household. For smaller couples, I would guess a 4,000 gallon usage is what we see, and that would be a difference of about $2.64 to a customer's water bill. And lastly, because we do have 5% of our meters in the system as a 1-inch meter, a 1-inch meter with 0 usage and a 90-gallon garbage container would result in an increase of $2.34 to the customer's monthly bill. So based on this information, the city staff does recommend a utility fee pricing increase of 3% to the water and wastewater fund and 2% to the sanitation fund. And this would be effective with the next billing cycle. And I would stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read resolutions number 1468, 1469, and 1470 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed resolution number 1468, a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees for the City of Riverton water system. Proposed resolution number 1469, a resolution adjusting the amount of user fees for the City of Riverton wastewater system. And proposed resolution number 1470, a resolution adjusting rates for the collection and disposal of garbage, rubbish, and debris.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Councilwoman Borders with the motion? Okay, second from Councilman Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing open. This will be conducted in accordance with the state statute and other applicable laws. I'd ask individuals who would like to speak on this topic to address the council, approach the podium, identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak about utility rate increases?
Seeing no one, Your Honor, I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Yes, okay. Councilman Pronto has the motion. Councilwoman Cox has the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I now declare the public hearing closed. We'll take these one at a time then. The chair would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1468.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Cox with the motion, Councilwoman Borders with the second. Any discussion? So just, I guess, a reminder for everybody that's listening, 1468 is regarding the Riverton water system. Councilman
Your
Bailey.
Honor, maybe Mia would have the answer to this, but how far behind the curve are we? And how much does this generate, I guess? And
Thank you, Councilman Bailey. With the proposed rate changes, this would provide an additional estimated $80,850 to the water fund, $71,370 to the wastewater fund, and $70,050 to the sanitation fund.
and how much did we have to cut out of our construction budget?
2.2 million, let me double check that, excuse me. We cut $2.2 million out of the water fund and $1.8 million out of the wastewater fund.
So hypothetically, next year, we'll only be $2.1 million behind instead of $2.2 million behind.
Yes, we did receive.
Rounding numbers.
We did receive grants for for one of our major water and sewer projects, if you all remember, back in August of last year. We received a grant for $3.5 million for the water meter replacement project. And the project itself, was $3.5 million. We received $2.9 million in grant funding. And it will cost the city $284,000 for each the water and the wastewater fund. And of course, the staff will continue to seek grant funding as long as we can find them and achieve them. But yes, we are behind the curve.
But just the matching portion of that grant was how much?
$284,000.
So we wouldn't even come close to getting that. I guess my opinion would be, I don't think 3% is enough, and I know I'd probably get hung from the city hall stage, but, I think we're being a little bit fiscally irresponsible by not raising a little more so we have enough money to fix the water system that we have that is severely behind in our ability to keep up with the needs of the system. And I know we get federal grants and there's been lots of money, but we have to at least match these grants on a small percentage, which we don't even generate hardly enough money extra to do that. So I guess it's a challenge, but I think maybe we should look at going 4 or 5% instead of 3. I think that the sanitation fund seems to do decent on its own, but the other two, I think, severely lacking.
Any other discussion? Councilman Larson?
Mike was right. I mean, Councilman Bailey was right. The Solid Waste Division is doing well because solid waste is a collection and a transport. But the water and the sewage is both that, plus we have equipment which is 50 to 75 years old underneath the ground. Right. Hill Street cost us $1.25 million to replace that line, and when we put the insert in Main Street up by 8th West, that cost us a pretty penny. Our responsibility is to provide safety and water and sewer and pick up garbage. And I think we made $23,000 on our water out of several hundred thousands. I mean, if you were in that business, you'd be broke. So I'm wondering if the citizens aren't aware. I had one ask me, why are you raising the water? And I said, because we got to replace the equipment that keeps on wearing out. And it's subject to dear inflation. We don't manufacture any of that stuff. I replaced a water meter in a residence that I own, and Mia wanted me, and I said, yeah, I've got to do it. $185 for a water meter. And probably that was wholesale discounted. So I'm with you, I think. And my water bill in the summertime, I want to jump out of the window. It's $1,500. And, but that's for several properties. But nevertheless, we still need the water. And this isn't well water in the summertime. This is coming out of the big ditch that we purify and work with, and that costs us money, and still we need the money to provide the service that we are required to provide. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, can we move to amend Resolution 1468 to 5%?
You don't need my permission. Is that your motion?
Yes.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Cox to amend the rate for the water increase from 3% to 5%. Is that correct?
Correct.
I would second.
We have a second by Councilman Bailey. All right, so now we're out of the first idea. Now all the discussion is just on the amendment. So is there any discussion on the amendment proposal from 3% to 5%?
Your Honor, I think the recommendation from Mia was sufficient from what we're already raising it. There's already people hurting out in the community, and going on their suggestion, I think, is probably more appropriate.
For, you're saying 3%?
Mhm.
Okay. Councilman Larson?
Mia, what would 5% be versus 3?
You're making her do all the math.
Looking at this right now.
She's working on it.
Pull out your own calculator there. Just kidding. That's what we have staff for. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harris.
You're welcome. Okay, currently with the 3%, your monthly minimum is $21.95. This is for in-town city services. And a 66-cent increase. Your per charge usage right now is $2, with the projected 3% is $2.77. And, excuse me, it's $2.77 now. With the proposed increase of 8 cents, it would be $2.85. And then anything over 6,000 gallons, your current usage is $3.18 with the proposed increase of 10 cents per thousand. And let me unhide this really quick. And so if we change that to 5%, then that would, when I said that it would increase the bill for the water portion itself, is 66 cents. For the sewer portion, let's see, for the water portion, it's 66 cents. For the new increase, it would be $1.38. Your sample bill would go up from an increase of $1.88 per month to $2.32 per month, with the increase in the water going up to 5%. So you're going from 66 cents to basically $1.10.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Mia, I think I remember correctly that last year it was actually recommended that we increase to 6% and we only went to 3, didn't they say? And so we thought maybe incrementally we'd go up to 6.
I have to apologize, Councilwoman Cox, I don't remember the conversation as far as what the proposal was versus what we ended on last year. Could probably pull it up in the minutes.
Your math isn't working.
Okay?
Well, you said you're 3%, $4.30 to raise, or what, for 12,000, and it's 68 cents, or I didn't quite catch all that.
Okay, sir, may I?
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
So the
Harris.
sample bill, so each bill is going to be different depending upon your usage. So when we looked at the current bill, the 3/4-inch meter with 12,000 gallons, the water portion of that would be $1.76 with the proposed 3-cent increase. If we move that increase to 5,000 gallons on a 12,000-gallon bill, your difference would rise from $1.76 in the water portion to $2.92. Your overall bill increase would be $5.40. And all of this is going to just depend upon the amount of usage that you have.
So I didn't go to school for math. I learned it along the way for the most part. But if I'm not incorrect, we were talking about estimating about 80,000 is what would be, what we would get more than we've had now. And so if we were going to increase to 5%, that's a 2/3 increase over 3%. So in a year, we'd be talking about 333,000 approximately. I mean, that's a rough number, rather than 80,000. Is that, am I right with my math there?
Yep, you'd go from 80,000 to 133,
Okay, so it'd be a 2/3 increase on that.
$53,000.
When I was on the council before, I always felt like we had so much money in water and wastewater and everything. And I'll be honest, the numbers concern me. I don't want to pay more for water. People may not know this, but we also pay our water bills. It's not a perk of being on the city council that you don't have to pay your water bill or your sanitation bill. We have family members in town that all pay their water bills. I don't think any of this that we're talking about is anything that we make light of at all. I look at the amount we're talking about. If it's a difference, for example, of $4.10, I'm thinking, well, in theory, that's not a lot of money, but that's enough money for me almost to pay for gas to drive from Riverton to Lander. You put it in that perspective that it's a little bit more than a gallon of gas. Well, a little bit more than a gallon. And there's a lot more you can do with that than pay for water. But I guess the only thing I'm thinking of with the 3% versus the 5% is that we had the rate study done. And the rate study recommended the 3% increase per year. Now, that's not to say that that's perfect. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Councilwoman Salisbury, but I mean, that was the recommendation. we don't have to operate everything on faith of rate studies.
I
but-
guess that's where I was getting the 6% is the 3 per year to ultimately get to 6%, so.
And we did change, when the rate study went out, we actually changed the fee scale and everything. We adjusted everything along with a little bit of an increase and change in how we did it. There was a lot more change than just rates. I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would dare to say that I have more water meters than anybody else in this room. And mine are not 3/4-inch meters, they're 2-inch meters for most of them. And so this is gonna hurt me worse than it will anybody else here. But if the water's not running, it hurts me worse than the water bill will, okay? And, you know, we have a huge need in this city to replace water lines and sewer lines. And if we don't start, you know, we went many years and we didn't raise the rate at all. And so we're behind the curve, and we've got to find a way to catch up. And, you know, this $50,000 extra that we're saying we should get is just a drop in the bucket of what the need is, okay? And, you know, the people that were down on, I think it was Willow Creek or something down there by Aspen School, you know, they had holes in their water line you could stick your fist through, and all that water's running into the groundwater. And so the city's spending more money with lines that are leaking. And so, you know, us getting the lines repaired will save more than we're spending extra, in my opinion. And so it's vital. I think if I remember right, they did some kind of study and they thought we were losing 30-ish% of the water in our system is leaking out.
Yeah.
Okay? If that was my gas lines leaking, we'd have a really bad problem.
Yeah, you'd be in jail.
I'd be in trouble.
Don't light a match.
So, you know, what's 30% of the water that we produce cost?
I guess I'm still thinking of it, though, along the lines that Councilwoman Salisbury did, which is inflation being what it is and the economy being what it is. That's a hard ask to be 5% rather than 3%. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Of the amendment, correct.
Yes, this is on the amendment only. Let's be clear. So this is for the 3% to the 5% in terms of the increase. So I'm sorry, let's do the vote again. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, back to the main motion, which is the approval of resolution number 1468. So I guess the amendment
Passes.
The amendment would be for 3%, so that's, I guess with the way the resolution is worded, we'd have to have, you follow, you could do that, Ms. Harris, couldn't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I mean, it'd change all the math in that.
It does. Would you like me to tell you a sample bill with a 3% versus a 5% difference in the sewer fund as well?
Yes, let's take one that's the same size meter, the same unit charge.
Okay, the original recommendation in the sewer fund, I'm going to use a 3/4-inch meter with 12,000 gallons of usage, which also could represent a household of 4, okay? Right now, the recommendation was for 3%, it would increase your bill by $1.88. With a 5% increase, it would increase your sewer portion of your bill to $3.22. It would it would change your overall bill increase from $4.30 to $6.80 per month.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the main motion? Yes, Councilman.
Is the main motion then for 3%, or is it with the amended 5%?
It'd be with the amended 5%.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of approving resolution number 1468 with the amendment as noted from 3% to 5%, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I vote aye. Motion passes. All right, the chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution 1469.
So moved.
Second?
Councilmember Peranto with the motion. Councilmember Bailey with the second. 1469 is wastewater. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor of passage of resolution 1469 as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. Chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 1470.
So moved.
Second?
Councilman Larson with the motion, Councilman Bailey with the second. This is regarding the collection of and disposal of garbage, rubbish, and debris. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to the next item. Consultant selection, TAP Willow Creek Project, Public Works Director's Report. By the way, but my family owns property out near Willow Creek, near Lander. This is a different place. It's Willow Creek. I'm kidding. I have to force myself to say Willow Creek, because when I was growing up, my grandma always called it Willow Creek. So if anybody else does that, I do too. But I try to, I don't know which one is proper. Anyway, moving on. Public Works Director's Report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council. Many of you probably recall, this last year we applied for a Transportation Alternative Programs grant through the Safe Routes to School program. We were awarded the grant about $730,000. We're matching it. It's about an $800,000 project. What this will do is provide 8-foot sidewalk from Willow Creek School all the way around to Majors over to the intersection of Riverview Road and Major Avenue. There's currently no path there now. This project required consultant selection. We went out for advertisements looking for requests for proposals, received 5. Selection committee was assembled, 4 members, and those 4 members rated individually their recommendations based on the proposals, and came up with Inberg Miller Engineers as the top scoring firm, which was actually 386 points, not 388 out of a possible 400. Our recommendation is to, with council's approval, is to move on to negotiations with that firm. However, you do have an alternative where you can direct staff to assemble an interview committee. The committee would be 3 city staff members, different than those that participated in the consultant selection committee, and they could interview the top 3 firms based on the same evaluation criteria the selection committee used. As federal money is involved in this project, we can't use, it's qualifications based only. We can't use any of the finances as a consideration in making a selection for a consultant. our recommendation, obviously, is to move forward with negotiations. However, we'll do as whatever council directs us.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to direct staff to proceed with contract negotiations for any individuals that you think are appropriate. I mean, the recommendation is Inberg Miller, but I guess I'm not trying to push anything on anyone. I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I'll move that we, go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I move that we move forward with engineering services from Inberg Miller as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Pronto, second by Councilwoman Borders. Any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
You know, that 388 and 383 and 382, out of 400, those top three are pretty close.
Well, and I think Mr. Eggleston was just saying it's actually 386.
386.
So the top three are literally within
The type
four.
on my part.
You know, my first question is this, so we take alternate B, we go in and form a committee. Is this gonna slow us down on the project so that we can't get it done in this fiscal time because we're hamstrung in committee? Or is it worth it to just move ahead? But I think their metrics need some work because those engineering firms are essentially dead even.
Might just be we have some good engineering firms here in town.
Oh, hopefully we do.
Your Honor, Councilman Larson, obviously the criteria is subjective and it's independently derived by the selection committee. They didn't work together. They independently, on their own, came up with these figures. Any one of these firms would be able to do this work. We have no doubt about that. But based on selection policies by the state of Wyoming and our own, this is the route we have to take to find a consultant.
But I guess the question is if we did do, because the alternative would be to assemble an interview committee, 3 City of Riverton staff members, independent of the consultant selection committee, you're basically getting a second opinion.
That's correct.
If we were to do that, is that going to create such a delay that we're not going to be able to get it done? Are we under the gun here, I guess, is really where we were?
No, we're not.
Okay.
No, we're not. Your Honor, we're looking at this project when we do select a consultant and get the project going. The design would happen in the next fiscal year, FY24. Construction probably wouldn't begin until next spring.
If that's something that the council,
A whole year from now?
Yeah.
that's not going to happen no matter what.
I don't think it would
It's gonna
hurt.
take us a year to design a sidewalk?
Well, it'll take us a year to get the design, plus it also includes designing that Major and Riverview intersection as well.
Your Honor,
Yes.
and I think more it's a consideration of the construction season, so we're getting into what could be considered construction season once the snow goes away. We're gonna be using this construction season for design, and then you're gonna hit winter again, and so that's part of the delay. It won't take a year to design this, but by the time it's designed, you'll not be in a season appropriate for doing the construction. That's why Mr. Eggleston's referencing that.
It is guaranteed the snow goes away eventually, right?
You heard him say that.
It normally has, historically.
I don't think it would hurt to have our staff look at it again, since we have time.
I guess if we were going to do that, I think we'd have to have, I guess the motion for directing staff to begin negotiations with IME would have to die, and then we'd have to have another motion to, I mean, is that about right, Ms. Watson?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, just
Sure.
also from another perspective, if the motion fails, I believe you can just allow us to continue in the process without a motion based on our policy. We would then work with a separate committee to do the interviews. So you could do a motion to that extent, but I also think that it would we could move forward without that motion, should the motion fail.
Any other discussion? All right. Well, we'll have a vote then. All in favor of directing staff to proceed with contract negotiations with Inberg Miller Engineers for the Willow Creek Elementary School Safe Routes to School Transportation Alternatives Program project, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay. He's hard to get along with.
You started this problem.
I can't read you guys.
You started this problem.
I know
You
it,
started this discussion.
but I listened to my cousin, Kyle Butterfield, and he swayed me.
All right, well, the motion fails. So I guess the direction that the city staff would be taking then is to go forward and move on to the second tier, I guess, second stage of that.
We can certainly do that, sir.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to remember this.
Sorry.
Councilman Larson.
Oh,
Start a problem and then you just don't try to clean up afterwards. I don't know. Resolution number 1471, fiscal year 2024 council goals. City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just for the benefit of the audience and those watching, the City Council did meet in work session last week to talk about its vision and goals for the upcoming fiscal year. We were fortunate enough to have Gary Michaud, who is the administrator of FCAG, which is Fremont County Association of Governments, there to help moderate your discussion. From that discussion, a set of goals was prepared for you, and this resolution allows you to adopt those goals as discussed during last week's work session. Those goals are in your packet, and then we also have a draft for your display on the podium as well. Maybe I'll just briefly cover the primary items that you see as the vision for the city of Riverton that you'd like to work on next fiscal year. And then obviously you as council can decide if you want to change any of those sub-items as well. Number one, the city council wanted to focus on communication and transparency. Number two, infrastructure and facilities. Number three, community and economic development. Number four, city operations. Number five, the budget. Number six, beautification and image. And number seven, safety and law enforcement. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The chair would entertain, would the city clerk please read resolution number 1471 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed resolution number 1471, a resolution of the governing body of the City of Riverton establishing goals and objectives for fiscal year 23-24 to promote the long-term welfare and success of the City of Riverton.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to approve resolution 1471.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bailey with the motion, second by Councilwoman Cox. Any discussion? I would note that when we discussed this, that this isn't quite the language we used, right? The way we did this, and Gary, Mr. Michaud did a really good job. We had, each of the sheets were about as big as that and had us each put sticky notes on the ones in those areas that we wanted to go to, and our way of wording it and some of the way that he had even worded it there isn't quite what we have here. So I guess I would invite, if there were any language changes that we wanted to make, this would be the time to do it. So. You can come up to the mic if you'd like. Sorry.
My name is Taylor. I'm so short. My name is Taylor Pinen. I'm with the Riverton Peace Mission, but I'll be mostly speaking on behalf of myself. And I was just wondering if we could share some thoughts right now. I know community discussion is closed, but I'm asking if I can share that.
That's fine by me. Go ahead.
Sweet.
Have you seen the goals? Do you have them there in front of you?
I was just listening.
Okay, well, if you turn around, you could look at them right here. They're where we can see them here.
They're in front of the podium.
Cool.
Maybe we ought to set one on the other side of the podium.
Yeah, so for number 7, I just really wanted to focus on kind of what we were talking about earlier about community engagement in this. So with law enforcement being, safety and law enforcement being the goal, I'm hoping that we can really stress community engagement within that. And I kind of just wanted to name a grounding that I keep for myself. But this is from the ACLU, and it's kind of just a essay about civilian review boards. In order for them to work, they must avoid past mistakes. And I just wanted to read a few bullet points of some mistakes of civilian review boards, so that as this is the base of this discussion and how we incorporate the community in this, having this as a base. So often civilian review boards are impeded by police department and unions defying, obstructing, or undermining the original goals. Politicians creating the review boards that are not independent from the police and police unions imposing restrictions on what information the board can release, past or present police employees staffing the board, politicians comprising rather than sufficiently empowering the board, municipalities inadequately funding the board so that they cannot perform the full range of oversight necessary, municipalities inadequately funding and supporting the board so that members are perceived as lacking professionalism or expertise, municipalities not bestowing the boards with necessary investigatory powers such as subpoena power. So I know that this goal is a quick, short goal, but I just really stress that you empower the community to have all the tools necessary to actually engage with this goal you have in a way that's effective and doesn't embody these past problems that we've seen in other towns throughout the country. So this is exciting, and it's a way to build something new together. And I just really wanted to echo the report that the Riverton Peace Mission came out with, and that there is a problem with policing. And yeah, just wanted to make that clear, and that we're down to really engage with this. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Hartman. I saw you there with your phone, and I suspected that you were following along on the packet, but I wasn't sure. It could have gone either way. Any other discussion? I will say that in the safety and law enforcement, we do have there increased visibility and engage in community policing. So I think that is something that's important to us. We did discuss specifically during the goal setting the idea of supporting events like the National Night Out, making sure that we've got good engagement with the community, between the community and law enforcement. We've had the neighborhood watch or the community watch, I think was what the group was being called. And I think we had expressed wanting to continue to work with them. Community policing, the whole idea of community policing, or a big idea of community policing, is building partnerships between the community and the police. So if you've got community organizations that are trying to do things to better and improve our community, the idea of community policing is to build those partnerships amongst other ideas. So I think that's part of what we're looking for. We're wanting to make sure that we're engaged with our community, and that was some of what we had also discussed during the goal setting. So I think we share that in terms of wanting to make sure that we have responsive, respectful police. So thank you. Any other discussion? Don't want to change any language? Everybody's just tired of this meeting, wanting to go home? This is the last item, although we do have the round table and we have an executive session tonight. All right, all in favor of passage of resolution number 1471, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. I vote aye. Motion passes. All right, council committee reports and council member roundtable. Because we always start on the ends, just to mix things up, let's start in the middle, and we'll start with Councilwoman Cox, because she was looking at, I wasn't trying to catch you. I wasn't trying to catch you off guard. Go ahead, if you don't mind.
Okay, I had mentioned that I was going to attend the Boys and Girls Club meeting, and that was canceled, so I don't have any updates on that. The rec board, we met last night, and we actually had a few more people come in with requests, and that was some good projects. Softball came back with a really detailed outline of what they want to do to improve their fields, and so looking forward to going forward with that project. It definitely needs it. Other than that, I haven't attended any other meetings since our last meeting.
And I had heard that the rec board had actually approved also a request for funding from the city for
$12,994 for Aspen Park.
Aspen Park. Yeah, so appreciate your work with that, Councilwoman Cox. All right, Councilman Bailey.
Thank you, Your Honor. I did not have any meetings in the last couple of weeks. I was gone a week ahead of that. I was really sorry to miss the cold and nasty weather. I had a meeting in Vegas, but it was not nice there either. It was in the 30s and the wind was howling, and so I know you really feel sorry for me, but.
Rough life.
Yeah. Again, like Lindsay mentioned, the Boys and Girls Club has been doing very, very well. They've got lots of participation, and the registrations are going up all the time. They are going to have a fundraising breakfast where they're going to honor our Honorable Judge Wes Roberts, who just retired, and that's going to be on April 26th at 6:30 in the morning, I think is when it starts. It is no charge to the public. They just ask that you bring your checkbook and make an appropriate donation to the Boys and Girls Club. It costs about $250,000 a year to operate that Boys and Girls Club. There's no cost to any of the kids that go there. They do some great programs, have some really good after-school activities and homework help and all kinds of great stuff. I think it's a real asset to our community, so hope everybody participates.
Where's the breakfast?
Down at the Armory Building, whatever that's called now. Heritage Hall?
Where you vote?
Yeah, where you vote, same place. We will be serving breakfast, but I will be out of town. I had a meeting already scheduled that I can't miss, but my staff will be there serving breakfast from the Speedway Cafe, and so everybody
Will
ought
we
to
have
come.
June?
Huh?
Will we have
I
June?
think we will.
Okay.
She's not staff,
Yeah,
though.
June.
And I think in the past, the city council has helped serve, so,
I imagine we could arrange that. Anybody want to come help serve at that?
yeah.
Absolutely.
I would go help serve, especially, I've known Judge Roberts used to be my neighbor, and I got to see him every day
Yes.
on the bench. Okay, well, that sounds good.
Thank
I guess pass the word along. You'll have a couple of people here that volunteered from the city council. I promise not to wipe my nose or anything while I'm doing it. All right, great. Councilman Pronto.
Your Honor, I have not had any meetings since our last meeting. Nothing new to report.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Larson?
I have not had any meetings. I had one out at Fort Washakie, and that was not for public discussion on garbage collection, solid waste, excuse me. And so I look forward to the next city council to report back on solid waste where we are. But the interesting thing is, looking at the budget, being on the budget committee, I noticed that we're down between $20,000 and $30,000 a month on solid waste. And solid waste is a direct correlation between vitality And so that is down, but solid waste says, oh no, people throw away just as much, and I say, no, it's not. So my real statement is, I do not think Lander will be going into the graveyard as soon as they project.
Okay. You're saying the landfill? Landfill.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be clarifying that there wasn't some headline that was, not that I'm suggesting that, I'm just saying
I know he wouldn't do that.
No. All right.
You might.
Councilwoman Salisbury.
Last week, we had a follow-up meeting. Earlier, we had met out at the Child Advocacy Center. It's a project with Wind River Cares, and Rick Brannon has put together, and they're trying to have the whole county be involved to protect victims of sexual assault and violence that's going on in all of our communities. And earlier in the month, we had a bigger meeting with lots of people across the county. And so we had a follow-up meeting with our city council, our interim police chief, Wes Romero, and Mayor Hancock. And we talked about issues, trying to figure out how we can come together to get our MOU in order so we can use the services and resources with Wind River Cares to provide better services and protect our children and adults that have experienced sexual assault and violence. So I'm really excited about that. They put a lot of work into it. By moving it more to a healthcare kind of, instead of just law enforcement, there's more resources that we can use. They're going to have a mobile unit that they can take different places, and it's really exciting. There's a lot more to it, but basically we're currently working to try to get all the legal language and stuff worked out with the MOU so we can all work together on that. So that was exciting. And then Tuesday, I had a chamber meeting. It was 2.5 hours. You probably don't want to hear about it all, but the biggest part of it was the Heritage Center has turned over today. We had another meeting where the chamber will now be down at the Heritage Center on South Federal. That's South Federal. And so that's where the chamber will now be located, in the visitor center. And so they donated basically all of the, if you've been down to the museum and stuff, that will now be run by the chamber and the visitor center. So it's going to be exciting. We can have resources and stuff. And I think part of our city goals is to kind of look at that area of town when people are coming into Riverton and stuff. So it's pretty exciting. Their board met with us today, and we're going and turned over the keys and changed the board and stuff. So that was really exciting. And then the chamber also is finally getting to the point where it changed, where we have chairs of committees that have different things that they're in charge of to kind of get committees to work. So it's getting better organized than it has been in the last 2 years. And one of the things that they're going to do is work a little closer with the downtowners, so it's not so separate on some of those things. And then they have several different things going on, but those were the major things that we met with. So I've been in a lot of meetings in the last week.
You and I have been at a lot of the same meetings, too. All right, Councilwoman Borders.
Your Honor, I did meet with the PAWS committee last week. They're busy with all sorts of things they have going on and planning adoption events. One thing that they really need are volunteers for the events that they hold, like Paws and Pearls. There's an upcoming adoption event that the National Guard is putting on. I don't have a lot of details about that, but if you are willing, those out there that are listening and here in the room, if you're willing to donate some time, they really need some help. So you can call PAWS and volunteer, and they'll put you to work. Let's see. I was looking through the Go Riverton site, and tomorrow night there's a meeting with the downtowners. That's at 5:30 at Shell Anderson Photography. They're asking any Riverton business to attend that's interested. GoRiverton.com, it's an excellent site. It shows everything that's happening, lots of stuff going on. One last plug, and I'm really glad you're here, Matt. I had the pleasure of attending The Sound of Music over the weekend, and it is amazing. I loved it. You made me cry, dang it. So maybe hand out tissue. No, it was excellent. Everyone did such an excellent job. The music was amazing. So if you can go. This weekend is the last. You have 2 shows, Thursday and
Friday, Saturday.
All right, thank you. Go on the CWC Theater website and you can buy tickets. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to mention
your time's up.
also how cute those Hancock boys are. They're
Yeah.
like the cutest soldiers I've seen in a while.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough role. I told him you leave all that Nazi stuff on the stage.
Yeah, that was kind of hard to see, but
Yeah, they definitely enjoy it. Thanks, Carla. I'll let you say that. All right, city administrator reports, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a few things. First, I'd really like to highlight Max, who's here tonight for the first time. He's transitioned over to the city's administrative assistant position, and we're happy to have him in that position, that he's here tonight. So just a welcome to him. We're also happy to have Kimberly Applegate here tonight. We have a great staff. You get a chance to see a lot of us that sit on this side of the room, and I think it's great that Kim is here tonight because she does a lot to support the Planning Commission and work with Mike. So thank you for being here, both of you. We do have a force meeting this upcoming Monday at 11 a.m. That will be here at City Hall. And just another reminder about the Unhoused Neighbors Summit, as communicated tonight and also in your weekly report on Friday. With the great news that Brian was able to communicate, we did receive a grant for some playground equipment. As communicated, and maybe this is more for public consumption, we were not successful in our 2 SLIB grant applications. As a reminder, that was to help improve the HVAC system that we have here at City Hall and at Central Wyoming Regional Airport, and then also some drainage infrastructure that's along Webwood Road. I really feel that the city put together a strong application in that regard, but there were just so many proposals for SLIB to review, and there wasn't enough money to go around. We also received some news that our application to improve Central Wyoming Regional Airport's commercial terminal, the passenger terminal, was not accepted as well. There will be 3 other application periods that we plan to still engage and submit for that, for those improvements. And with that, Your Honor, I will yield the floor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Well, I look forward to sitting here and talking to people for just hours on end my whole week, and I just write down, I'm just kidding, I'll be quick. I had just a couple of things to bring up. First off was what Councilwoman Salisbury already brought up. That was a sizable donation from the Heritage Center, Wind River Heritage Center, to the Chamber, and I think it will be really, I'm excited to see what the Chamber does with it, and they have a vision for really making that southern entrance into Riverton something that we can be proud of and that we can really have, right when you get there, being able to see something and being able to have it be a way that you can really see the community right there. So they've got a lot of different ideas. I'm excited for that change. Not, of course, that the Wind River Heritage Center wasn't just doing absolutely amazing, but I just think it'll be beneficial to the community. The other thing is, of course, I've mentioned this on the radio. I'll mention it today. I'll probably mention it any time I speak, which is the EDGE funds are open for applicants. That will be for the entire month of March. The EDGE funds are, of course, the half-cent community development, or I'm sorry, economic development funds. And so if you are an entrepreneur, if you're wanting to do something to expand or to grow a business in Riverton, we invite you to apply. We have a lot of amazing people in Riverton that have a lot of amazing ideas, and we'd love for you to come and talk to the Edge Committee about them and let them hear what you have to say and see if there's the possibility of assistance for that to be able to improve the economic development in Riverton. I reminded people on the radio about this as well. Please make sure if you have sidewalks in front of your property. I had someone who spoke to me that is sight impaired, uses a white cane to get around, and he said, it makes it really difficult for me to walk around if you aren't clearing your sidewalks, first off, but especially if you aren't clearing the areas where that bumpy portion that's really difficult to get with a shovel. If you're not clearing that, it makes it so that folks that are sight impaired aren't going to know where the intersections are. And it makes it difficult. So I would invite you, please, clear your sidewalks, and especially if you've got portions there for folks that are sight impaired, get those cleared as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about, give me just a minute here, is the Wyoming Main Street program, which is what I think Councilwoman Borders brought up, or somebody brought up. There's a meeting that the downtowners are holding. Riverton, there's a program that is the Wyoming Main Street, and basically it's a collaboration of Main Street communities. They offer services and perks to each community that's involved in the program. They're invited to monthly Main Street calls where training, networking, updates take place. They enjoy the perks of training funds for the for the Main Street Now conference and the opportunity to join the annual Best Practices Workshop. I'm just reading this straight from their website. Riverton has been approved as an aspiring community, so starting out garnering interest in forming a Main Street program, build the foundation of a Main Street program, gather a working group to implement ideas and projects, forming an identity, formal organization, and taking advantage of the training and capacity building opportunities that Wyoming Main Street and partners provide. Aspiring tends to be about 3 years, and you move on to higher levels, affiliate and certified. So we are now, through efforts by the Riverton Downtowners group, Riverton is a part of the Wyoming Main Street program as an aspiring member. And so I'm very excited about that. They, as mentioned earlier, have a meeting tomorrow about that at, is it Shell? Is it Shelley? Shell, how do you say her first name? Shelley, okay. I've only seen it written, and so I look to you because you're a photographer, she's a photographer. It's a small world, maybe. So I intend to go to that, and I think it'll be a good opportunity. I guess just in terms of other upcoming events, we have the Barn Bash, which will be at the Fremont Center this weekend on Saturday, raising money for the Friends of the Fremont County Fair, that I would encourage you to attend. They have a lot of really exciting things that you can bid on, including a Jeep, child size, and other things like that. So it looks to be a really fun dinner. I think it's pulled pork, and I went to the FFA dinner, and they had these really good German chocolate brownies, and I was promised that the same person who did those at FFA will be at the Barn Bash. I was kind of on the fence as to whether I was going to buy tickets, and with that,
pushed you over?
They did, yeah. Those were good brownies. So anyway, but I guess the biggest thing that I wanted to make sure I don't forget to bring up is that it wasn't a purchase. I wanted to make sure that if there was anybody who thought that the Wind River Heritage Center, that was purchased by the chamber. That was a donation, and a sizable one at that, more than $50,000 that was a donation there. So I'm excited for that. All right. Well, I think that's everything that I have to say. Appreciate this is great. Usually when we have meetings, the minute somebody's item is off the agenda, people go. This is the first time I think I've had this many people that have stuck it out this long. So give yourself a hand. That was well done. But regrettably, we're not going to be coming off the dais right now because we do have an executive session for personnel and litigation that's on the agenda. So the chair would entertain a motion to convene into executive session for the purpose of personnel pursuant to Wyoming Statute 164405A2 and Wyoming Statute 164405A10, and litigation, considering litigation to which our governing body is or may be a party in accordance with Wyoming Statute 164405A3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilwoman Salisbury. Any discussion or amendments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We stand convened into executive session at 8:54 PM. Chair would invite our city administrator to join us, and I think Ms. Watson to join us.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Regular session of the city council is now reconvened at 9:18. Chair would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that the city of Riverton extend a contract to Eric Hurtado as the city of Riverton's next police chief.
So moved.
It is a move. Are you seconding?
Second from Councilman Larson.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Peranto, second by Councilman Larson to extend a contract to Eric Hurtado for the next city of Riverton police chief. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. I just wish he were here.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Butterfield, Ms. Watson. And I just want to say, in terms of process, preparation, everything with that, I was extremely impressed. And I think in talking to other council members, that's the same feeling all around, is that we were very happy with our staff in terms of all of it. So thank you very much.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
1 second. Mike and I and yourself have been through several processes of hiring, and I think that one, with the way staff worked, was the best in the last X number of years. And the staff needs to really be thanked for that. It made it, the process is never easy, but with the data that we had, it made it much simpler. Thank you.
Your Honor, if it's okay, I just think it's appropriate that Kristen Watson deserves all that credit.
Okay.
That's who.
We'll give it to her. Kristen, you get all the credit. And I mean, even those packets, that was the,
It's impressive.
I've never had a packet. That was so cool. Oh, we need to adjourn. Chair would entertain, well, I guess, does anybody have an objection to adjourning?
No.
Okay. Then we're adjourned.
Stay any longer. you can be by
9:20.
yourself.
So I have one person interested in going to WHAM summer.